Her body was too big to reproduce. But only one human made her pregnant in one day. In a distant galaxy, far from human eyes, there lived a race of tall and graceful aliens. Their bodies were shining with strange colors, and their voices carried like soft music in the wind. Among them was one young woman, more beautiful than all the rest, but she carried a secret pain. Her name was Alira. From the day she was born, Alira was different. Her body was larger than others of her kind. Her height, her frame, her very presence was powerful. Many admired her beauty from far away, but whispers always followed her wherever she went. She cannot reproduce, the elders said. Her body is too big for life to grow inside. She will never bring children into this world. Her people valued one thing more than all: creation of new life. Without it, they believed there was no purpose. And so, as years passed, Alira was judged not for her heart or her mind, but only for what she could not do. She tried to hide her sadness, but every time she saw other women holding their children, she felt her chest tighten. No one comforted her. No one stood beside her. Instead, the whispers grew louder. "She is cursed," they said. "She will weaken the future of our people." At last, the elders made a cruel decision. They cast her out. On the night of her exile, the stars above were cold and silent. Alira walked alone, her long cloak dragging behind her. No family came to say goodbye. No friend dared to hold her hand. She was abandoned, left to wander strange lands with nothing but her sorrow. Her heart ached, but her eyes held no more tears. She had cried too many nights already. Now she only felt empty. She thought to herself, maybe this is my fate. To disappear, forgotten. But fate, as it often does, had other plans. Far away, hidden among the rocks and trees, a pair of human eyes were watching her. The man's name was Daniel, a traveler from Earth who had found himself among these alien stars. He had heard the stories about the outcast woman who was too big to reproduce. But unlike the others, he did not see her as broken. To him, she was radiant. Her sadness only made her beauty shine brighter. That night, as Alira walked with heavy steps through the barren land, Daniel followed quietly. He did not wish to frighten her. Instead, he studied the loneliness in her eyes. He felt something stir in his chest, something he could not ignore. Alira stopped near a small stream, kneeling to drink the cold water. Her reflection stared back at her, tall, strong, yet lost. She whispered softly, "Why am I alive if I cannot give life?" Her voice trembled with pain, and Daniel's heart clenched. For the first time, he understood how deep her suffering went. But he also knew one thing. Her story was not over. She looked up at the stars and closed her eyes, whispering, "If there is a reason for me to exist, show me, please, show me." At that moment, Daniel stepped out from the shadows. The sound of his boots on stone echoed through the night. Alira turned sharply, her golden eyes flashing with surprise. She had never seen a human so close before. For a long moment they stared at each other, two souls from different worlds standing under the same sky. Daniel raised his hand slowly, showing he meant no harm. "I have been watching," he said gently. "I know who you are." Alira's voice shook. "Then you know I am nothing. I am an outcast." But Daniel shook his head. "No. I see someone who is strong, someone who survived when the world turned against her. You are not nothing, Alira. You are more than they will ever understand." Her lips parted, but no words came. No one had ever spoken to her this way, not with kindness, not with belief. The silence between them grew, filled with questions. Who was this human? Why was he here? Why did he care? Alira looked at him, searching his eyes for lies, but all she saw was truth, raw and simple. For the first time in her life, she felt a spark of hope, a tiny flame, but enough to push back the darkness inside her. Her story was not ending here. It was only beginning. Before the story fully starts, you can say in a gentle tone, "Before we dive deeper into this story, if you enjoy these kinds of HFY sci-fi tales, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Your support helps us bring more amazing stories like this to life." The night was quiet, and the stars above burned like cold fire. Alira's heart still beat fast from seeing the strange human step into the open. She had heard of humans before, fragile creatures, smaller than her kind, yet known for their clever minds and restless courage. But never had she stood so close to one. Daniel kept his distance, his hands still lifted to show he meant no harm. His eyes were steady, calm, yet filled with something she had not seen in a very long time: respect. "You should not be here," Alira said, her voice low and heavy. "My people cast me away. If they see you near me, they will curse you too." Daniel shook his head slowly. "I don't fear their curses. I came here for you." Her chest tightened. For me? The words felt impossible. Nobody had ever come for her. Alira's sharp gaze studied him, searching for trickery. His clothes were worn, his boots covered in dust. He looked tired, as though he had walked a long road just to find her. Still, his posture was strong, his voice steady. "Why?" she whispered. "Why would a human follow an outcast?" Daniel took a deep breath. "Because I don't see an outcast. I see someone who has been wronged. I see a woman who deserves more than the lies her people told her." The words cut deep. For years, Alira had carried her shame like a chain. And now, in one night, this human dared to break it with only his voice. She turned away sharply, hiding her face. "Do not speak so easily. Ellie, you do not understand my curse. My body is too large, too different. Life cannot grow inside me. I cannot give children. That is why they cast me out." Daniel's steps were quiet as he moved closer. His voice softened. "Maybe your people are blind. Maybe they only see what they want. But I see strength. I see someone worth fighting for." Her golden eyes widened, but she did not look at him. Her heart raced. Worth fighting for. No one had ever dared to say such words to her. Silence wrapped around them, broken only by the whisper of the stream nearby. At last, Alira asked, "Do you not fear me? I am bigger than you, stronger. My people call me dangerous." Daniel smiled faintly. "I've seen danger. You're not it. What I see is a woman carrying too much sorrow, and I cannot turn away from that." His words sank into her like rain falling on dry ground. For the first time, she felt something stir inside her chest, a feeling she almost did not recognize: hope. Still, fear held her back. "If you stay with me," she warned, "you will suffer. My people do not forgive. They will hunt me if they learn I survived." Daniel's eyes narrowed with quiet resolve. "Then let them come. I've faced worse. I will not leave you alone in this place." Alira turned to him fully now, studying his face in the moonlight. His features were not like her people's. His skin was softer, his build smaller, but there was fire in his gaze, fire that her own people lacked. Her lips parted. "You are strange, human." "And you," Daniel said, "are beautiful." The word struck her like a blow. Beautiful. For years she had only heard words like useless, cursed, unworthy. And now, from the mouth of a fragile human, came the one word she had longed to hear. Her breath trembled. "Do not call me that. It hurts." Daniel stepped closer until he stood only a few feet away. His voice dropped low, steady. It only hurts because you don't believe it yet. But you will. The air between them grew heavy with silence. The stream gurgled softly at their feet, and the stars above seemed to hold their breath. The stream gurgled softly at their feet, and the stars above seemed to hold their breath. For a long moment neither spoke. Then Alira asked the question that burned in her chest. "What do you want from me, human?" Daniel's reply was simple. "Nothing. I only want you to see yourself the way I do." Her heart ached with confusion. No one had ever spoken to her with such honesty. No one had ever stood by her side without asking for something in return. She lowered her gaze, her long hair falling over her face. For the first time, she felt the weight of loneliness begin to lift just a little. But deep inside, another feeling stirred, fear. Because if this human was telling the truth, then her world was about to change. Daniel saw the conflict in her eyes, but he did not press further. Instead, he knelt by the stream, scooping water into his hands. "You must be thirsty," he said gently, offering it to her. Alira hesitated. She could have taken the water herself, but something about the small gesture touched her heart. Slowly, she leaned down and drank from his hands, her golden eyes never leaving his face. When she pulled back, she whispered, "Perhaps you are not like the others." Daniel smiled faintly. "No, I'm not." And in that moment, something unseen bound them together. Not love, not yet, but something powerful. Trust. The stars above shone brighter, as if they too witnessed the meeting that would change both their destinies forever. The night passed slowly. Alira and Daniel remained by the stream, the stars above still glowing like 1,000 watchful eyes. Yet in Alira's heart, something had shifted. For the first time since her exile, she did not feel entirely alone. Still, fear weighed heavy on her chest. She watched the human carefully. His small fire burned softly, casting a warm glow across his face. Daniel sat on a flat stone, sharpening a small blade with calm hands. He looked so fragile compared to her, yet something about him felt unbreakable. Alira finally spoke, her voice low. "Why do you stay here with me? You could go back to your kind. You could live safely." Daniel looked up, his eyes steady. "Because I don't believe safety is the same as living. I want to see the truth of this universe. And right now, the truth is you." Her heart stumbled at his words. She looked away quickly, pretending to focus on the stream, but she could not escape the echo in her mind. "The truth is you." She clenched her fists. "You do not understand me. You don't know what I carry." "Then tell me," Daniel said simply. Her lips parted, but the words caught in her throat. No one had ever asked her that. No one had wanted to hear her pain. She had been silenced, mocked, and abandoned. But this human, he waited with quiet patience, as if her voice truly mattered. At last, she closed her eyes and whispered, "I was born wrong." Daniel frowned. "Wrong? How?" Alira's voice trembled, but she forced the truth out. "My body is too big, too different. The healers said no life could ever grow inside me. My people live for one purpose, to bring children, to grow the next generation. But me? I am empty." She touched her stomach lightly, her hand shaking. "No matter how strong I am, no matter how wise, they saw only failure. So they cast me out. They told me I would never be a mother. They told me I was cursed." Her voice broke, and for the first time, Daniel saw tears shining in her golden eyes. The fire cracked softly between them. The night air carried her pain like a song. Daniel's chest tightened. He had expected sorrow, but not this deep wound. He moved closer, lowering his blade, his voice calm. "Alira, that is not a curse. That is cruelty. They blinded themselves. And they blinded you too. She shook her head fiercely. No, it is the truth. I have tried. I have prayed to the stars. I have begged the healers. Nothing changes. My body is too vast, too strange. They are right. I cannot give life. Her words were heavy. Her words were heavy, final. But Daniel did not flinch. Instead, he leaned forward, his eyes locked with hers. Maybe, he said softly, it is not about what your people call right or wrong. Maybe you are different because the universe has another plan for you, a plan they could never understand. Her eyes widened, confusion and disbelief swirling together. Another plan? What plan could exist for someone like me? Daniel did not answer immediately. Instead, he picked up a small stone and tossed it into the stream. Ripples spread across the water, circling outward. Do you see that? He asked. One small thing can change everything around it. You think you are empty, but maybe you are the stone. Maybe your life will ripple into something far greater than your people ever dreamed. Alira stared at the ripples, silent. His words touched something deep inside her, something buried under years of pain. But still, doubt clawed at her. And what if you are wrong? What if I am nothing but a hollow shell? Daniel's voice grew firm, his eyes blazing. Then I will stand beside that hollow shell, because even if you cannot see your worth, I do. Her breath caught. No one had ever spoken to her with such conviction. His voice carried no pity, no lies, only truth. She turned her face away, ashamed of her tears. Why do you care so much? You are human. I am alien. We are nothing alike. Daniel smiled faintly. Maybe that's why I care. I don't see you the way your people do. I see you as you are, and to me, you are not broken. Her heart thundered in her chest. She wanted to push his words away, but they clung to her soul like fire, not broken. Could it be true? She stood suddenly, her long cloak brushing the earth. Her tall figure cast a shadow across the stream. You speak boldly for one so small, but your words will not change my fate. Daniel stood too, smaller yet yielding. He looked up at her, his eyes fearless. Maybe not tonight, but one day, Alira, you will see what I see. For a long moment, silence hung between them. The stars burned bright, the stream whispered softly, and their gazes locked like two forces colliding. Finally, Alira turned away, wrapping her arms around herself. But deep inside, she felt a flicker of warmth she could not extinguish. Daniel's words had planted a seed of doubt in her despair, and seeds, no matter how small, had the power to grow. As the night deepened, danger stirred in the shadows of the land. Neither of them knew it yet, but eyes were watching. Her people had cast her out, but that did not mean they had forgotten her. The true test of trust between human and alien was only beginning. The stars above faded into a pale dawn, painting the sky in silver and violet. Alira had not slept. She sat beside the dying fire, her golden eyes fixed on the horizon, her thoughts tangled between Daniel's words and her own despair. Daniel awoke slowly, stretching his tired limbs. He looked at her and spoke softly. You didn't rest. Alira shook her head. Sleep is a stranger to me. My mind does not let me forget who I am. Daniel studied her for a moment, then walked to the stream, washing his face. You're more than who they say you are, he replied. One day, you'll believe that. She turned her face away, but his voice lingered in her chest. Why did his words carry so much weight? He was only human, small, fragile compared to her people, yet his presence felt steady, like a mountain against the storm inside her. As the morning grew, they began to walk together, leaving the stream behind. The land stretched wide, filled with sharp rocks and tall, glowing trees. Strange creatures darted in the shadows, watching with unblinking eyes. Daniel kept close to Alira's side, though he was dwarfed by her towering figure. She noticed how careful he was, always alert, always scanning for danger. He did not walk like someone protecting himself. He walked like someone protecting her. The thought unsettled her. Why would a human risk his life for an outcast? Hours passed. At midday, they rested beneath the shade of a giant tree whose roots curled like ancient claws. Alira sat quietly while Daniel pulled food from his pack, dried fruit and small pieces of bread. He held them out to her. She frowned. "That will not feed me. My kind requires more strength than this." Daniel smiled. "Then take mine too." She blinked in surprise. "You would go hungry?" He shrugged. "I've been hungry before. I'll survive. But you shouldn't starve." Her heart stirred again, confused and restless. No one had ever offered her kindness without demand. She took the food slowly, her long fingers brushing his smaller hand. A strange warmth spread through her chest. Silence fell as she ate, but it was not the same silence of loneliness. This silence felt safe. After a while, Daniel leaned back against the tree, closing his eyes. "I know you don't trust me fully," he said. "But trust isn't born in one night. It grows like roots under the ground." Alira looked at him sharply. "And what if those roots break?" Daniel opened one eye, meeting her gaze. "Then we plant them again, stronger." Her breath caught. His words were simple, yet they carried a weight that shook her. She wanted to deny them, to guard her heart. But deep inside, a bond was already forming, fragile but real. That bond would soon be tested. As the day waned, the forest grew darker. Strange noises echoed between the trees, low growls, heavy steps. Alira stiffened, her senses alert. "Something follows us," she whispered. Daniel's hand went to his blade, his jaw tightening. "Then we'll face it together." From the shadows emerged creatures unlike any Daniel had seen, massive beasts with 4 legs, armored hides, and jaws lined with glowing teeth. Their eyes burned like embers as they circled the two. Travelers. Alira rose to her full height, her cloak whipping in the wind. She looked like a goddess of battle, tall and unyielding, but inside, fear stirred. She had the strength to fight, yet part of her wondered if Daniel would be crushed in the chaos. The first beast lunged, jaws snapping. Alira struck with her bare hands, hurling it back with a force that cracked the earth. Another leapt toward Daniel, and before she could reach him, he rolled aside, slashing with his blade. Sparks flew as the blade met armor, barely scratching the creature. "Daniel!" she cried, her voice sharp with fear. "I'm fine!" he shouted, eyes blazing. Together they fought. Alira's strength was unmatched, each strike sending shockwaves through the beasts. Daniel, though smaller, moved with speed and courage, striking weak points, distracting the monsters long enough for her to land killing blows. At last, the beasts fled, their glowing eyes vanishing into the darkness. The forest fell silent once more. Alira stood, her chest heaving, her fists dripping with strange glowing blood. She turned to Daniel. He was bruised, his arm cut, but alive. She rushed to him, her large hands trembling as she touched his shoulder. "You are hurt." He smiled faintly, wiping the blood from his arm. "I've had worse. You should see the other guy." Her golden eyes burned. "Do not make light of this. You could have been killed." Daniel looked up at her, his voice calm. "And you could have been alone. That's worse." Her breath caught, her heart twisting painfully. No one had ever placed themselves between her and death before. No one had ever chosen her above their own life. In that moment, something inside her cracked. The wall she had built, the shield of loneliness she carried, it broke under the weight of his loyalty. She whispered, her voice trembling, "Why do you do this? Why risk everything for Me? Daniel's gaze did not waver. Because I see you, Alira. Not the curse they spoke of, not the outcast they cast away. I see a woman worth fighting for. Her throat tightened. The words she had longed for her whole life, spoken by a human. The forest was quiet again, but inside her heart a storm raged. She wanted to believe him. She wanted to let the bond grow, but deep down a shadow whispered, "If I let him close, I will break him. If I let him in, I will lose him too." And yet she could not turn away. As the night fell and they built another fire, Alira sat closer than before. She did not speak of her feelings, but the bond between them was no longer fragile. It was alive, burning quietly in the space between their hearts. Unseen, far beyond the forest, other eyes still watched. Her people had not forgotten the exile. They were waiting, and soon their judgment would return. The fire burned low, casting shadows across the forest clearing. Alira sat near it, her golden eyes lost in the flames. Every flicker reminded her of the beasts they had fought and of the human who had stood by her side. Daniel was nearby, cleaning the blood from his cut with calm determination. He winced as he wrapped a piece of cloth around his arm, but his expression remained steady. Alira watched him silently. His body was small compared to hers, fragile in ways her people would mock. And yet, in battle, he had not faltered. He had not run. He had fought with the strength of someone who refused to break. Something stirred deep inside her chest, something she had not felt before. It was more than gratitude, more than respect. It was dangerous, powerful, hope. "Why do you not rest?" Daniel asked, glancing at her. "I cannot," she admitted. "My mind is heavy." "Because of the fight?" "No." Her voice was soft, almost a whisper. "Because of you." Daniel's hand paused as he tied the cloth. His eyes lifted, locking with hers. "What about me?" She hesitated, then spoke the words she had always hidden. "I do not understand you. You risk your life for me, though. I am cursed. You see something in me that I cannot see. And now, I am afraid." He frowned slightly. "Afraid of me?" "No." Her gaze lowered to the fire. "Afraid of what I feel." The words hung heavy between them. Daniel leaned closer, his voice steady. "Alira, feelings are not something to fear. They are proof that you are alive." She looked at him, her heart trembling. "But if I allow these feelings, I will only lose you. Everything I love is taken from me." Daniel's eyes softened. "Then maybe it's time to change that story." For a long moment, silence ruled. The flames cracked, the night whispered, and the bond between them deepened. Then something strange happened. Alira pressed a hand to her chest, frowning. A warmth spread through her body, unlike anything she had felt before. It was not pain. It was something else, something alive. Her breath quickened, and she looked at Daniel with wide eyes. "Something is happening," she whispered. He rose quickly, moving to her side. "What do you feel?" "A fire, inside me. Not burning, but growing." She clutched her stomach, her voice trembling. "This cannot be. It is impossible." Daniel placed his hand gently over hers. "Tell me." Her eyes filled with fear and wonder. "For so long, my body has been empty. But now, I feel movement. Life." Daniel froze. His heart thundered. "Life?" Her voice broke. "I feel it. Small, fragile, but real. It cannot be. Yet it is." Tears streamed down her face as she stared at him in disbelief. How, Daniel? How is this possible? My people swore it could never be. He whispered, almost to himself. Then they were wrong. Alira trembled, her tall frame shaking as she clutched her stomach. The warmth inside her grew stronger, a rhythm she had never known, new life forming where none had ever existed. Her people had called her barren, cursed, broken. But now, against all reason, a miracle had begun. She looked at Daniel, her golden eyes blazing with awe. This is because of you. Daniel's hand remained over hers, steady and sure. No, this is because of us. The night seemed to shift, as though the stars themselves bent closer to witness. For the first time, Alira felt whole. For the first time, she felt more than an outcast. She felt chosen. Yet with the miracle came fear. She whispered, "If my people learn of this, they will come. They will try to take the child. They will not let a human be part of their bloodline." Daniel's jaw tightened, his eyes fierce. "Then they will have to go through me." Her heart clenched at his words. He was small, mortal, and yet he spoke as though no force in the universe could stop him. She wanted to believe him. She did believe him. Still, danger was closer than either of them realized. Beyond the trees, hidden in the shadows, eyes were watching. The miracle that had just begun would not stay secret for long. Alira leaned forward, her forehead almost touching his. Her voice was a broken whisper. "I do not deserve this." Daniel answered firmly, "You deserve more than this. You deserve everything." Her tears fell freely now, tears of joy and fear mingled together. She had been cast out, left to die alone. But here, under alien stars, with a human by her side, the impossible had become real. The fire dimmed, the forest hushed, and Alira held on to Daniel's hand as though it were the only thing keeping her from falling apart. Inside her, the first stirrings of new life glowed like a hidden flame. The miracle had begun. But miracles often attract shadows, and somewhere in the distance her people stirred. They would not allow what was happening. They would come for her. And when they did, she and Daniel would have to fight not only for their lives, but for the life that had just taken root inside her. The forest had fallen into silence. No more beasts prowled. No more danger stirred among the shadows. Yet inside Alira, a storm was rising. She sat close to the fire, her tall frame curled forward, arms wrapped around herself as though she was holding something fragile. Daniel noticed her stillness. His wound was bandaged now, his body tired, but his eyes never left her. "Alira," he said gently, "you've been quiet since the fight. Tell me what troubles you." Her lips parted, but no words came at first. She lowered her head, golden hair falling across her face. Then, in a trembling whisper, she confessed, "Something is changing." Daniel leaned closer, concern sharpening his voice. "What do you mean?" She pressed a hand against her stomach, her long fingers trembling. "There is warmth inside me. At first I thought it was pain, but it grows, like light spreading in the dark." Daniel frowned, unsure. "Do you mean you're hurt?" "No," she answered quickly, shaking her head. "It is not pain. It feels alive." Her golden eyes rose to his, wide with disbelief. "Daniel, I have never felt this before." The fire cracked between them, throwing sparks into the night. Daniel's heart pounded. He had heard her story, her exile, her curse. She could not carry life. Her people had sworn it. And yet here she was, trembling, her voice filled with awe. "You feel life?" he whispered. Her breath caught. "Yes, small, fragile. But it is there. I know it." Tears welled in her eyes. She covered her mouth with one hand, as though speaking the words aloud made them impossible to believe. It cannot be real. But I feel it, Daniel. I feel something moving inside me. Daniel sat frozen, his mind racing. If what she said was true, then the impossible had happened. For Alira, the realization shattered her world. All her life she had carried shame. She had been mocked, exiled, stripped of hope. And now, in one moment, everything she believed about herself cracked apart. She rose suddenly, pacing the edge of the clearing, her voice shaking. His is madness. My body was too large, too wrong. The healers said no seed could grow within me. They cast me out for it. And now... She stopped, clutching her stomach again, tears streaming down her cheeks. Now, I feel life. How? Daniel stood too, though his body ached. He placed his hand gently over hers. Because they were wrong, Alira. They judged you without truth. They never gave you a chance to believe in yourself. Her body trembled under his touch. She wanted to pull away, to hide. Yet she could not. The warmth inside her was undeniable, and Daniel's hand steady against hers made it feel even more real. She whispered, almost broken, "Is this your doing? Is this because of you?" Daniel's voice was calm, but filled with emotion. "No, this is because of us, together." The words struck her like thunder. She stared at him, her golden eyes filled with both fear and wonder. "Then you have given me what no one else could. You have given me life." The firelight reflected in her tears. For the first time, Alira felt more than hope. She felt destiny. But joy was not the only feeling in her chest. Fear pressed in too. She whispered, "If my people learn of this, they will not celebrate. They will call it a crime. They will hunt me. They will hunt us. They will try to take the child." Daniel's jaw hardened, his eyes blazing. "Then let them come. I will not let them take you. I will not let them take what is ours." Alira's breath shook. She had heard vows before, but never one spoken with such fire. Daniel was small, fragile, a human among giants, yet his voice carried the weight of unbreakable steel. Still, deep inside, her fear clawed at her. "You do not understand their power, Daniel. They cast me out because they believed I was worthless. But if they see me carry life, they will want it for themselves. They will never allow a human to be part of our blood." Daniel stepped closer, his hand still pressed to hers. His voice dropped low, firm. "Then they will have to destroy me first. And I promise you, I won't break so easily." Her golden eyes widened, her chest tightening with emotion. No one had ever stood beside her like this. No one had ever promised to fight for her, not against her. She sank to her knees by the fire, covering her face with trembling hands. Tears poured freely, tears of disbelief, of terror, of joy. "I do not deserve this," she whispered. Daniel knelt beside her, pulling her hands gently away from her face. His voice was steady, filled with warmth. "Alira, you deserve more than this. You deserve everything. And I will make sure you have it." For the first time, her tears turned to quiet laughter, broken but real. She leaned her forehead against his, her tall frame trembling as she whispered, "Then I will trust you. Even if the stars themselves turn against us, I will trust you." The fire dimmed, the forest hushed, as though the entire world was listening. Inside her, the warmth grew stronger, a miracle taking root where once there had been only emptiness. The impossible had begun. Yet far beyond the clearing, in the cold halls of her people, the elders stirred. Whispers spread that the outcast was alive. Shadows followed her path. And now, with life inside her, she had become more dangerous to them than ever before. The miracle had come, but so had the storm. The sky burned red as dawn rose over the alien city. Word had already spread among Alira's people, the outcast lives, and she carries life inside her. The news had shaken the elders like thunder. For years they had called her barren, cursed, broken. Now the truth threatened everything they believed. If Alira, the one they rejected, could carry life, and worse, life touched by a human, it meant their laws were nothing but lies. Alira and Daniel had traveled far, but they knew their time was running out. Each step Alira took was heavier, not from weakness, but from the weight of the new life inside her. She placed her hand over her stomach often, feeling the miracle pulse like a secret star. Daniel never left her side. His eyes scanned every horizon, every shadow. He knew they would come for her. He had felt it since the night of the miracle. And when they came, he was ready to fight. That day, the ground trembled beneath the march of warriors. Alira's people had found them. Figures emerged from the mist, tall, armored, their faces cold as stone. At their head stood the High Elder, his silver crown gleaming with the light of the rising sun. "Alira," his voice thundered across the clearing, "you were cast out, you were judged unworthy. And yet you return, carrying a life you should not have. This child is ours." Alira's heart pounded. She stood tall, though fear clawed at her chest. Daniel stepped in front of her, blade drawn, his small form a wall between her and the army. "You'll have to kill me first," he said, his voice like steel. The warriors laughed, their deep voices echoing. The High Elder sneered. "A human dares to defy us? You are nothing. We are the keepers of life. That child does not belong to you." Alira's voice rang out, fierce and trembling. "No, this life is mine. It is ours. You cast me away, called me cursed, left me to die. Yet here I stand, Kay, lying the very thing you said was impossible. That is proof you were wrong." The elder's eyes burned with fury. "That child cannot be allowed to live. It is an abomination." Her people surged forward, weapons raised. Alira's heart raced. There were too many, even for her strength. Daniel gripped his blade tighter, his face pale, but his eyes unyielding. "Stay behind me," he whispered. But Alira shook her head. "No, not this time. I will not hide. This child is my future, our future. I will fight for it." The first warrior charged. Alira met him head on, her fist slamming into his chest with the force of a falling star. He flew backward, crashing into the earth. Another came, and she struck again, her strength greater than it had ever been. It was as though the miracle inside her gave her new power. Daniel fought beside her, his blade flashing in the morning light. Though smaller, he was faster, striking at weak points, defending her when she faltered. Together they moved like two parts of the same force. United, unstoppable. But still, the numbers pressed in. The High Elder raised his staff, power crackling like lightning. "You cannot fight the will of your people," he roared. Alira's golden eyes blazed. "Then my people are blind, and I will open their eyes." She raised her voice, shouting so all could hear. "Look at me. I was called barren. I was cast away. Yet I carry life. If the elders were right, I should be nothing. But here I stand, with a child growing inside me. The curse they spoke of was a lie." Her words echoed through the warriors, breaking their certainty. Murmurs spread, doubt creeping in. Daniel stepped forward, his blade pointed at the High Elder. "You tried to destroy her because she was different. But her difference is her strength, and that strength is the future." The elder's face twisted with rage. He unleashed his power, a wave of energy surging toward them. Alira shielded her stomach with her arms, bracing for the end. But Daniel stood firm, refusing to move. He took the blast head on, his body thrown back, his blade shattering. "Daniel!" Alira screamed, rushing to him. She knelt, cradling him in her arms. His breath was shallow, his eyes heavy with pain. "You can't leave me," she whispered desperately. "Not now, not when I finally found you." He forced a weak smile. "I told you, I don't break easy, and neither do you." With those words, Alira rose, her fury igniting. She faced the High Elder, her voice thundering like a storm. "You will not take him. You will not take my child. You will not take my future." She struck the earth with her fist, and power surged outward. The ground shook, the air split, and the Elder staggered. The warriors froze, stunned by the force she unleashed. In that moment, they saw her not as a cursed outcast, but as something greater, a mother who would not be denied. The High Elder fell to his knees, his power broken. Silence fell over the clearing. Alira stood tall, her cloak torn, her golden eyes blazing. She held Daniel close, her voice clear and strong. "This child will live, and from this child will come a future where no one is cast out for being different. That is my legacy. That is our legacy." The warriors lowered their weapons, their gazes shifting with uncertainty. The old lies had crumbled. A new truth had been born. Alira looked down at Daniel, his weak smile still lingering. She kissed his forehead, whispering, "We did it. Together." Above them, the sky blazed with morning light, as though the universe itself bore witness. The outcast was no longer broken. She was a mother. She was the beginning of something new. And their child, born of human courage and alien strength, would change the stars forever.